I'm back to the VHS vault. That was super long for no reason. I'm VHS Jace. That's Jason Roy Gaston.
That's what she said.
And, well, she didn't say anything about the movie we're talking about tonight, which is something very different for us, Jason. Because we're not known to review dramas or psychological studies or things like that. But for some reason, it came up in conversation. You've never seen it. So I threw in this week's episode, Falling Down.
Yes, very strange choice. I had never seen this movie before, but I have seen it now. And I have thoughts on this particular motion picture experience.
Well, my memory of it is if I did see it at the cinema, at the time when I did see it back in 93, it had an effect. I thought it was, at the time, a very good movie. And certainly a period of the time where they didn't really have the kahunas to tackle subjects in the full seriousness they deserved. This was a Hollywood attempt to try to do something. And at that time, I had very fond love of it. I liked it. However, the years have gone by. So, and I got to rewatch it. So, being the first time you watch it, initial reactions to the film, Jace.
Initial reaction is that old saying whenever somebody says that they idolize Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, or they idolize Tyler Durden. If you idolize this character, you have learned none of the lessons from the movie. Michael Douglas is not the hero of this film. He's not somebody who should be admired or emulated. He is the ultimate entitled man who believes that they are owed something by society. And that is the impression that I got. And I see that as whenever Robert Duvall, it's Robert Duvall, right? Yeah, Robert Duvall's character, whenever at the end he decides to, tell his wife that he wants dinner, my thought was, is this really what we're doing? Is this really the lesson we wanted to teach with this movie? Is you have to be the alpha male? I just feel like this is what Ben Shapiro, touched himself to while he was growing
Daily
up.
Wire movie.
Yeah, this is the angry white man movie. And in today's, I could see how back then it's like, oh, this is something brand new. But we're seeing it in real life now. We're seeing this whole entitlement and, oh, why can't things be like I want them to be? And it's just, I believe it's got to be a completely different experience than it was in 19 whatever, whenever this came out.
Yeah, 93.
93.
And it is. And the fact of the matter is, yes, he is the antagonist. It's a rare Hollywood film where we really follow the POV of the antagonist throughout the film. And the protagonist is really a secondary character. And you're right. This is, I hate to get into this is very Republican. Like, I would just put it out there, all right? And I can say that being an Aussie. I don't want to get too much into it. But
I'm an American and I'll say it.
Yeah, he's a violent racist.
Yes.
At minimum, let alone an abuser.
Yes.
Now, and that's just unquestionable with his actions throughout this. There are some chilling moments. And I got to say, I do like Michael Douglas' performance in it.
It's a masterful performance. Yeah,
it's wonderful because they really hit it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there are challenging scenes in this, and we'll just go all over this kind of film. And I think the good one to bring up is with the surplus store with the Nazi.
Yes.
And the messaging at the end of that scene that he was somehow better than the Nazi, though all he was seeing was a reflection of himself. Like in his attitude towards people, his reactions to situations is no different than the man he kills in that surplus store.
Not at all.
Yeah, not at all. It's the at the start of the film, I will give it to Joel Schumacher, who's the director of this film. I love the fact that there's no 20-minute build-up for him cracking it. He cracks it pretty well immediately.
In the dude's defense, in his defense, who has not mentally broken in the middle of a traffic jam? I usually just cry behind the wheel, but there have been times I've been wanting to get out of my car and just beat the hell out of somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, no pun intended with the defense. um, and we do. There's a bit of a urban myth about this film. There, oh, you never get to hear his name. No, you don't. You do find out his name in the end of the film. But for the sake of it, we'll just call him Defense throughout it. It starts off almost like this twisted odyssey he goes on.
Yes.
And what a place to set it. Los Angeles, 1993. And in that time, it was a very dangerous period for that city. And there was certainly race wars going on. There was a lot of unrest. So it's a hell of an environment to kind of do that, which I thought was made it kind of really interesting and makes the character face. Well, we get to know how much of an unbelievable racist this guy is really quickly off the bat in that supermarket scene.
Yes, there was also the matter of every single minority character in this movie is a stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
Every
It's
single
Hollywood in 93.
one. Exactly. It's this movie is condemning this man, but at the same time, they're kind of walking lockstep in his point of view almost. The convenience store owner, for example, I was watching that just thinking, wow, this is bad. This is so bad. Parts of this movie have aged like fine milk. Let me just put it that way.
I will give it to the actor. He was not putting on an accent. That is the actor's true voice, because I've seen that actor in multiple roles. Because it is like, that was one thing that grabbed me and I went, hang on a minute. Is he really putting it on? And then, I couldn't help myself. I went down a rabbit hole, grabbed some clips from other films, and no, that's his voice. But still, he's got to be the mart owner, doesn't he? The supermarket owner. That's the offensive stereotype. Yes, of course, he's
who's
working
overcharging, and you have
he's price gouging.
You have the Latino gang members,
the dumbest gang members ever.
Yeah,
mind you.
You have the possibly gay couple who are just like totally effeminate and just like the stereotype of a gay person in 1990. It's just this movie. I don't know. This movie wants to say something, but it's got its own foot in its mouth through many of the scenes as well.
Well, I think it's because it's very embryonic in its tackling of these issues that we have lived with and are tackling far more seriously in today. Some of the issues were barely spoken about. It was just starting to bubble up. And with the gay characters, it's offensively like, come on, dude. They're both jacked. One's wearing like the little black tie, and the way they kind of perform. But I'm a little bit more forgiving because I look at it at its that time. That wasn't something we would see in a Hollywood film, especially headed by a superstar at the time, Michael Douglas. So, a bit of it is going to be cringe, I found the gang members, a little bit cringe. But I found the gang members, the intro to those gang members where he's just sitting I like that moment. But everything else around that was ridiculous. They have a small arsenal of weapons, but they hang around the park and they get beaten by a middle-aged guy with a baseball bat. And then at one point he throws the baseball bat at them and it doesn't occur to him, well, he doesn't have a weapon now. We can go back and kick the living snot out of him. No,
it would have been a short movie, but it would have been 20 times more funny.
That's it. And the fact of the matter is, when they do get to that car accident, which isn't very, I will say with Joel Schumacher, we kind of missed that bit. So all of a sudden he turns the corner, there's a crashed car, and conveniently there's a gun just out of reach of the bad guy's hands. And there's a small arsenal in the bag. But at the end of the day, though, Michael Douglas is the reason it works is because you feel that simmering underbelly of tension. He's going to explode, and he does it so well. So I find myself locked into the movie because I'm locked into him.
I am probably going to take a very unpopular opinion here. I don't think the movie works. I don't think it works because not only because of the stereotypes, not only because of the entitlement, but I just didn't think it was that interesting.
You
I'm sitting
didn't.
here. I didn't. I'm racking my brain right now, just trying to remember what happens in this movie. When you said the
Oh,
car wreck, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. Um, I to me, the movie just boiled down to a man throwing a baby tantrum because he doesn't get what he wants, and he wants what he wants, and he wants it right now. It
I
is
think
it
what
is exemplified in the scene when he goes to McDonald's and demands breakfast. And I'm just watching this, just thinking, this is it. This is the whole movie. It's a Karen screaming at the manager because she doesn't get what she wants. And at the
agree.
end, I'm just like, did Karen finally get what she wanted? Can we stop now? So
Well, the thing
I'm
is,
not a fan. Not a fan.
I give it kudos because it is starting to show the beginnings of that type of person becoming more and more and more. And the fact I think in 1993, and this is probably, I'm really apologizing for the film now, but I think in 1993 to tackle the fact that a middle-aged white man feels displaced in his world is a bold idea to do because it's because at that time it's who cares? Like, you know what I mean? We don't care now. Like, man up, grow up, go with things change and away you go. But at that time he couldn't function. Could not function in a world changing around him. And I found that fascinating they would even do that back then. Um,
I could see that as well. I
yeah.
just think that the movie is just, it had too many damaging things against it, too many things that were a product of their time. And maybe it's just been the 30 years hence, but it just did not hit with me. It did not translate with
What
me.
was it?
I found the man more irritating than engaging. I just wanted to tell him to grow up. Grow up, quit being a baby.
But I think that's also maybe part of the point of the movie is that you're not supposed to like him at any point. I mean, I don't never liked him when I was watching it, but I was kind of like it's like watching a car crash with him.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
how
saying
I
that
felt watching him.
I'm not saying it's the movie's goal to make you like him. I'm just saying it's the
Mm.
movie's job to make him interesting. And I don't think he's interesting. I think that he's a whiny, entitled brat. And if anything, I was just irritated with him.
I tell you who I'll disagree on that one, but will tell you who I was annoyed with at the film for just dumb decision making is the ex-wife.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he's calling. You've got a restraining on him. Get out of the house.
Yep.
Make a few calls. Get the birthday party at a different location, and that's it. You don't have a problem, and it's like over. Also,
I know. Honey, I'm coming home. Oh no, I have no idea where he is or where he's going.
I'll just stay right here.
I'm coming home, honey. Oh, what do I do? Where do I go? I think I'll
and
just
then
stay home where it's safe.
And I did cringe a lot again when I rewatched it because I only ever saw it once, never rewatched it again after all these years. Was talk about stereotypes. Really, the detective on his last day of his career, just before retirement, we're doing that
Yeah.
trope.
I'm kind of
Um,
surprised they didn't kill him, to be honest. That's what I was thinking the whole time. If they
yeah.
kill this guy, I will have a stereotype bingo card.
Well, I dare say the movie would have been far more effective if they let the tragedy happen. When he says to him on that cue at the end, you were going to kill your wife and kid. That's what you were going to do. And then when you realized you couldn't get out of it, you were going to turn it on yourself. Now, if I was to rewrite this movie, I would have had William DeVow, what would have had Mr. DeVow, who is old, trying to get to the end of the pier, but just doesn't make it. And we see the tragedy unfold. Then you've got a stronger message to the audience that, like, these people are dangerous.
Yeah.
We as a society need to be aware that these type of people are happening. They like when it comes down to is the fact that you mentioned the word brat. Immaturity is his biggest weakness. He's zero maturity or empathy at all. So yeah. But I mean, look, overall, I still think the film gives some great performances. Michael Douglas is great. Barbara Hershey's great playing the wife. Even Rachel Tichowan, like the great Total Recall, of course.
Oh
It's
yeah.
great to see her in another role, and she was quite
Yes.
good as well. And even Frederick Forrest playing the Nazi was manically genius, and I love that guy. He's a great actor. Well, was a great actor. But yeah. But I mean, it does it. Yeah. In 1993, it was fresh milk. It was beautiful. Now it's gluggy. There's chunks. It's turned to cottage cheese, maybe. You know.
Ew.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's also very when the intention of getting to watch this was, well, this is an interesting movie to watch in today's climate. And if you are to give it kudos, I do give it kudos for calling that out so early on. Because it took
Yes.
the rest of us a couple of more decades to start catching on these people were
Some of
doing
us are
damage.
still learning. Still
Oh,
learning. I will
yeah.
say though, that if you follow anybody on Facebook or Instagram who uses the main character from this movie as a meme template to say, if you ask me, we should be spending our tax dollars on soldiers, not the homeless, unfollow that person immediately. They're a psycho.
Well, I do remember at the time, Jason, it was disgusting then. It's especially disgusting now when people would kind of make him a hero
Yeah.
or describe him as a hero or explain how cool he was. And it's like, dude,
Was he
like
though?
you are like, I think we should get you checked out. If you think this guy is a good guy, you've got some unhealthy thoughts.
Was he ever cool though? He really wasn't. He was a
No, not
doofus.
not to us, Jace, but to
No.
people out there, he is.
See,
The disenfranchised.
he's the most uncool person in this entire movie because he's like somebody gave, I don't know, somebody gave the nerd character from a sitcom a gun and is like, here, go take revenge on everybody. And he's
Well,
walking around, yeah, I needed breakfast now.
I think they just idolize the simplicity of him being an alpha male and taking back, which is
is he
like,
is he an alpha
whoa.
male though? Because
That
what is
I
he
don't know.
he
If anything, he is the worst. He's beta. He's not facing up to anything he's done. He's not dealing things with any maturity whatsoever. He is not an alpha, but to some people, they just see the surface level, Jace,
Yeah, if
and they
this
just see him
guy
as
is your
somebody they
hero,
can root
you
for.
are. Oh no, we can't be friends if this guy is your hero. We just can't.
Well, it's one of those things, you know. But I will say this: as much as I know you didn't enjoy the film, I'm glad they made this film at the time, and I do. I'm shocked that Michael Douglas didn't get an Oscar for this because he was phenomenal in it. But yeah, I would say I'll probably never watch this film again. But I'm glad it's in the film annals because even though we see
Animals.
past the surface level of it, maybe for people out there that have seen it, that maybe are not digging in as much as we do, may get the simple message of we need to watch out for people like this. Because look how
I hope
dangerous they
so.
are.
I hope so because, like I
That would
said,
be the
we're
only message I would want anyone to get
still
out of it.
trying to learn that in this country. We're still trying to learn
I
it.
think we're
That
trying
these
to learn
people are not
everywhere,
heroes.
dude. Even down
Yeah,
here, mate, we got a lot of them as well. So
yeah.
it's crazy, you know. I mean, Wolf Creek is based on a character type. It's very much a stereotype, that character, who exists, who are dangerous, who I've met people like that. So they're around. Yeah. So
But he seems so
either
friendly.
way, either way, I think we all know how this film would have been better if we had a predator hunting him down.
Absolutely. Or if somebody would have given him a Snickers. Here, Michael, take the Snickers. You're a whiny, entitled brat when you're hungry. Better? From Basic Instinct. Yeah, better.
I'm better now. Yeah. But there you go. But that was my attempt at a pretty poor segue. We are moving on back to the world of science fiction adventure next week as we hit the 2018 Shane Black directed. So it's a big deal, Jace. The
Yes.
Predator. The Predator.
I have heard things. I'm trying not to let those opinions sway me. I have heard things. I'm going to make my own decision whenever I watch the movie this week.
It is divisive. I have seen
Yep.
people on both sides that like
I
this
have
movie and not like this movie.
I have seen people on one side.
Which is, yeah, the majority. But there are people out there that do like it. So I've only ever seen it once. So I'm looking forward to going back and checking The Predator out.
I've only ever seen it never, so this will be a brand new experience for me.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about the movie we're planning to do the next week, because
Of
the holidays
course.
are upon us, and so of course
Yes.
we've got to do a Christmas movie, and it was my choice again, and so I've decided that we should be exposed to a Christmas classic, one that appeared a few years ago and then everyone just kind of forgot about, and that
Oh, I
movie
love
is, of
Christmas
course.
movies.
Yes, that movie is all about that wonderful man who visits us once a year and brings vengeance. It's the Krampus.
Never seen it. Never seen it. I can't wait to
Gotcha.
watch it.
All right.
Can't wait to watch it. It's been on one of those, how you just miss movies sometimes. It was on my list back in 2018 when it came out to watch. And
Yeah, nobody
yeah.
talks about it anymore, and I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah. Based on a classic myth, I believe.
Yes. I was a big fan of the Krampus myth before this movie. I had seen like the American Dad stories that had the Krampus in it, and the Venture Brothers that had the Krampus in it, and then I was like, oh, the Krampus got his own movie now. So yeah, it's a fun myth. It's a fun movie. I love it. I love it. I can't wait for you to experience it as well. It's something we can share together.
Well, the last time I saw a bad guy Christmas movie, it was The Grinch. So I'll just assume it's the same as The Grinch.
No,
not.
it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Oh, ouch.
Are we talking Jim Carrey's Grinch?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Krampus is good. Jim Carrey's Grinch was trash.
Ooh, wow. That might be our 2025 Christmas movie then if I get it. I've got a year to plan that one. A year.
Okay, as a school teacher, I have to watch that movie at least once a year, every year, right?
No, but now that you told me, it makes total sense. So maybe I'll come up with something else to talk
I was
about
actually very happy that Illumination came out with their mediocre Grinch movie, so I could replace the terrible Grinch movie with the mediocre one, where the Grinch is too nice.
Yeah. That is a horror film for a whole different set of reasons.
Maybe that's what we can do, is the Grinch versus the Grinch versus the Grinch. We'll have to do that once sometime.
Maybe. We'll put it on the list. All right, guys. Well, that's what our pretty short episode this week on Falling Down. We've said we were on a set. I assume we would love, of course, we would love to know what you guys thought of the film, whether you agree with Jace or whether you agree with me, where you go, this is the best film that's ever made, and then maybe you should unsubscribe. I'm kidding, guys, of course.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Either way, Jace, how can they support us on this crazy journey we're on, watching everything that we can?
I thought you'd never ask. What you can do is you can go into the video description below and check out how to join our Patreon. For as little as $5 a month or more, you can support Jace and I and this stupid thing that we do here on YouTube. You can also become a channel member and get videos early. So visit the video description below to find out more information.
Awesome. Hey, can I just throw something else out before we end this, though? We are coming up to the end of our current series where we're tackling Aliens versus Predator. We'll be done that by end of January. Guys, if you've got suggestions on the next franchise that we should cover, let us know. You never know. It might be the one we pick.
And it might not be. I don't know. Depends on what mood we're in.
Probably won't be. But say it anyway.
But it might be.
We're out of here. See you guys.